Hey, Stephen Peterson here. The program is Patterns for Progress. I want you to start enjoying progress in your life. Now, every book I read, because I'm not a pattern person by nature, that isn't who I am, it's uncomfortable for me. But I feel like because it's uncomfortable for me, because it's difficult for me, I can relate to a lot of other people. Now, if you're one of these people who just has a pattern, 7 steps for making toast and 12 steps for walking out to the car, yeah, I'm not that detailed. Anything more than 3 steps, and I tend to get lost. So, what I'm trying to get you to do, find someplace. I call it acorns and weeds. Find a weed in your life, a pattern that's just not producing. Maybe it's a job where you've worked hard, you've worked as hard as you can for 10 years and not one promotion. Well, let's get a new pattern. Let's try something new. Or just talking to somebody the other day, have absolutely no skills in psychology, yet that's what they were majoring in college. And so I said, well, what do you hope to do? You don't have any interest there. You really don't have any natural aptitude. The course is hard. Well, she said, somebody said it would be really good. Yeah, it'd be really good for somebody, but not for you. I'm trying to find something that works for you. You define what success is: making more money, having more time to sleep, getting your bills paid off. If you could afford to live and not borrow, that to me, that would really be a breakthrough. That'd be a success. And so that's what we do on this program. I've got me a real acorn here, I don't know, pewter or something acorn my daughter gave me. Beautiful painted acorn my friend Carol drew for me. Because an acorn, this will never produce anything. You know why? It's not in the ground. I say it almost every week. One of these days, I'm going to go put this in not in a pot. It'll make a little tiny oak tree. It won't even be an oak tree, it'll be a sapling. Need to find some space and plant this and let it grow. And so that's what a pattern is. We're going to dig up a weed and clear some space for a brand new pattern. And I've run into so many people like this the last couple of weeks, so I'm going to teach on something. So many people are going through a fight for their life or a fight of their life. Let me tell you the difference between the two and how a pattern can make a difference. Now, fight for your life, that's fairly simple. 2 different people I talked to in the last week had heart attacks, a man and a woman. And neither one was sure they were having a heart attack. Now, my sister, Sharon, went through a heart attack years ago in open heart surgery, and she said, the number one symptom for a woman having a heart attack, they're dead. Now, that's what the cardiologist told her. I don't know if that's true. But obviously, my sister didn't die. This lady I'm talking about didn't die. But it was kind of scary. She had had pain, and rather severe pain, for more than a couple of hours while she was at work. But like most of us, well, I'm just going to push that pain off. But she finally went to the ER, and they said, oh, yeah, you're having a heart attack. Well, after watching her for a couple of days, all the tests came back, yeah, you had a heart attack, but you're in much better shape than you would think you would be. But they began to tell her about 7 different drugs she'd have to take, and she is resistant to that. This isn't a debate about drugs and doctors and pharmacy and big pharmacy. And she said, so she started working with the doctor, and he said, well, these are the 2 most essential, and you have to change your diet, and you have to change your exercise. So see, that a fight for your life, if you make it through, then you're going to have to change. So those are all patterns. Now, you don't make it through, you're not watching this program. And then the gentleman, he had a more dramatic, was in a lot of pain, and had to go through, I think, somewhere between 2 and 4 procedures. But I got to talk to the surgeon. He was one of the most positive, life-affirming people I'd ever met. I'd spend money just to hang around him, watch him eat lunch. Not watch him eat lunch, but talk to me. Maybe I'll make him that offer. Let me go to lunch with you and record you. Just full of life. But he had about 7 different things this gentleman's going to have to do different. Talk about patterns. And it was, boom, it was overnight. And he said, one of these patterns, if you don't keep it, you're going to die. Now, that's pretty serious. I could have him on the program. Now, of course, that's not true for most of us. But to be honest with you, I would believe most people have something, a pattern in their life that if you don't get rid of it, it will eventually be the death of you. One of the sayings I have, and I don't mean to be so morbid, if you don't kill your excuses will end up killing you. But so there's a fight for your life. You understand that. But then there's a fight of your life. And that's where a lot of people I know are in it. It's trying to define who you are. It's trying to establish, the fight is you're trying to establish that you're going to live and not die, that you're going to succeed, that you're going to come out of here. You may be a little scarred, but you're coming out better than before. Well, that's a fight of your life. Because that fight, negative things happen. You go through a divorce, you lose a loved one, a bankruptcy, and I'm not comparing any of the others. Maybe you get laid off. You see this, I was reading the sports page the other day, and it's the time of the year where football players are being cut when there's no games going on. And one football player says, well, I'm going to play this as long as I can because that's who I am. Well, I don't know how to break it to you. That's better not be who you are, or you're going to cease to exist, either this season or next or the next. He's not a great football player. He's an overachiever. You could write books and make movies on his overachieving, but that's not who you are. Maybe that's who you see. You're going to have to, that's a fight of your life. Who are you? What do you stand for? Fight for your life is dramatic. Nobody has to explain that to you. You know, they come get you in an ambulance. Or they tell you it's going to all be over soon. Get your affairs in order. That's dramatic. But a fight of your life, it can shorten your life. It can make your life. Listen, I'm 100% Norwegian. And the Norwegians I know, and God bless all you Norwegians, the Norwegians I know are very serious and very responsible. I don't know. I would like to. That would be a good group to get together. The fun-loving Norwegians. I don't know what that would be. That doesn't mean there aren't thousands of them. I just don't know them. And so I constantly work on my joy, on my gratitude, on trying to laugh. Oh, man. When I spill something, my wife laughs so hard. But when I spill it, I think, man, what a mistake. How could you do that? You got to try harder. I think it's a better response my wife has than what I have. Well, she had to learn. She grew up in a tough household, and she had to learn at things that laugh at things. She had to learn to laugh at things that stressed out other people. Sometimes socially, it's not the best pattern. You know, if somebody drops or spills something and she laughs, but she's so sweet, I don't think anybody thinks anything. Now, if I started laughing, they go, what's wrong with you? But what a good pattern to have. Instead of putting yourself down and getting all stressed out, you laughed about it. That's a fight of your life. When she was much younger, she was in several fights of her life, trying to define who she was and decide who she was and mold her a certain way. She won't fit into any mold. She does not fit. You know why? Because she succeeded time after time after time in something she didn't know, but it was a fight of her life. The fight of your life is trying to define you. It's trying to put a label on you. You're a loser. You can't change. You can't succeed. Who do you think you are? A fight of your life would be somebody being the first person in their family to go to college and graduate. They've broken a pattern. That's a pattern. Now, it's probably a pattern just based out of poverty, based out of didn't have the resources or the opportunities, but it's still a pattern that's broken. I have a friend, and this is not unusual, but everyone in her family, every relative in her family, her mother and father, grandmother, grandfather, everyone has gone through at least one divorce. She hasn't. Now, this is not to put down people who have gone through a divorce. I'm just talking about patterns. And when you see that pattern all through your family or all through your family tree or everyone you're hanging around, then you say, okay, I'm in a fight of my life and I didn't even know it. Trying to define me, trying to limit me, trying to restrict me. A fight of your life's everywhere. And so that's why it's so important. You get a new pattern, an acorn, and you dig up a weed. I'm not going to do this again. I'm not going to talk about my mate. I'm not going to complain about my boss. I'm not going to complain about the government, whatever the pattern is. And because you don't complain about something doesn't mean you agree with it. See, a fight of your life is trying to define and limit who you are. And you're trying to say, hey, don't fence me in. Get those barriers away from me because I haven't done something before that's good, or I haven't done something before that's outstanding in a certain field, doesn't mean I can't. I ask people all the time, and I ask myself all the time, when was the last time you did something for the very first time? I don't know what it was, a month ago or something. I was reading a book, and it was written by a psychologist, and they said, you want to break a pattern? When you go into a meeting, any kind of meeting, church meeting, I wouldn't do it in a movie theater, you don't want to, but be on the front row. Oh, I don't want to be on the front row. I don't want to draw attention. Be on the front row. When you're at in a meeting at work, speak up. When they say, who's got ideas on this? Give them an idea. They might be shocked. They didn't even know you had a voice. In fact, he called the person who never speaks up the conference clam. Yeah, you know that's a psychologist coming up with that. But see what you're trying to do in a fight of your life. You're trying to break through. You're trying to do something for the very first time. And sometimes the hardest people to convince they don't know you is your family. Well, I remember you. I remember you when you're little. I won't tell you my age, but I'm old enough to drive. One of my relatives still calls me Stevie, and I swear I heard her call me Little Stevie, because that's what they called me when I was little. Well, I'm not little, and I'm not Stevie, and if you go by Stevie, that's fine. I'm not going by Stevie. I got a new name, and I didn't even know it. Stephen Peterson is my name, but now because of young people, including the basketball player for the Warriors, when people read it, they go, oh, Stefan? Sure, call me Stefan. No one's ever called me that. In fact, years ago, we were pitching an idea in California, and the people with me said, Stephen Peterson, that's too everyday. That's just too common. You're going to be Stefan. So I was Stefan in Los Angeles, pitching an idea for a TV show. See, sometimes just give yourself a new name. I never thought of it. I might start calling me Stefan Peterson instead of Stephen Peterson. Of course, if I watch it, I'll go, who the heck is he talking about? But that's what you're trying to do. In a fight for your life, you got to find a doctor. You got to, listen, my son took a bunch of our his little cousins swimming. I don't know, it was 3 or 4 years ago, and he got an infection in some public pool. He went to 3 different normal doctors, and this is not putting him down. All 3 of them just, whoa, you got to be careful. That could be bad. Finally, because he had gone through the 3, he went to a specialist. The 3 were scared, intimidated, maybe scared's a little much, but I think they were intimidated by what they were looking at. Went to a specialist, he goes, oh, I know what that is. You do this and this, 2 steps and it's done. Sometimes you're just lacking hearing from the right person. Your situation is not impossible. Say, hey, my situation isn't impossible. It's possible for me to succeed. It's possible for me to do what nobody in my family has ever done. It's possible for me to be happy. It's possible for me to win the fight for my life and the fight of my life. And if you defeat this and you stand against this thing trying to limit you, you'll never be the same. Your children and grandchildren will thank you for it. I'm even going to thank you for it. Who am I? I'm Stephen Peterson. Or if you want to call me Stefan, you can. Stephen Peterson. This program is called Patterns for Progress because I want you to break through. Thanks for watching.